Hello, welcome back to part 2 of this build, A Modern Escape. My name is Craig from Learn the Web, and we're making this website in these series of videos. It's probably going to take me quite a few videos to make this website, as it is a little bit more complicated than the last one that I built, but we're going to crack on and we're going to see where we get to in this video. So far, I've built this top header here. So if we look here, this is all we've built so far. We haven't even really completed the media queries for this top header area, so that's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to go a little bit off script with this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this logo when we get down to here, and I'm going to put these into the middle as well. So you'll see that the design breaks at, let's have a look. The design breaks there at 720 pixels right there. So at 720 pixels wide, we're going to make some changes to what's going on here. We're going to put this in the center, so I'm going to inspect this first of all and see what's happening. So you can see there that it goes fully across. You can see the div is the full width. So on this element, we are going to do text align center. And by the way, the thing I'm doing here in Chrome DevTools, I do this a lot just to test some of my CSS before I actually put it into my CSS file. So I'm just testing that this is going to be the right thing for me to do. So text align center is correct for that. And then the thing underneath inside col10 site nav, I think on my UL, let me just double check my LIs actually. I've done inline block on these, so actually on my site nav, I should also just be able to put text align center. And they sort of go in the center, but there's something else wrong there, so let me double check what's going on. Ah yes, because we put margin right 45 pixels, we're going to need to remove that or just change how that works as well. So let's look at this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the media queries, and I won't have written any media queries yet so far. So I'm going to make a new section at the bottom of the file, and I'm just going to call it media query for now. And then we're going to start with a min width. So we're going to type media, open brackets, min width 720 pixels, because that's what we want this media query to start from. So this media query that we're writing here, it's going to apply from 720 pixels and upwards. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to go from a mobile first methodology here. We're going to make the default CSS here for site nav. We're going to put text align center on it here. Then at 720 pixels wide, we're going to make it go to the left. So here at the top, I'm going to put text align center, and I'm just going to click live reload here so it automatically updates. There we go. And then lower down here, we're going to have a site nav. We're going to put text align left. So at 720 pixels it goes left. Below that it goes to the right. There we go, that's looking okay. And then also we need to change this margin right. But I'm going to change this so it's a little bit easier to deal with. So I'm going to write a margin left and a margin right on it straight away here, so we don't have to put two different sizes on it. So instead I'm going to do margin 0, which applies to the top and bottom. So I'm setting the 0 to top and bottom, and I'm going to set the left and the right to 20 pixels like that. So that's now in the center, and if I come back and make it big again, you can see it doesn't really make a difference to it for the time being. So we'll leave it like that. That looks okay, and it looks okay as it shrinks down too. And then the only thing left for us to do is just apply some styles to the site logo, which we haven't even done yet. We've not even got to that. So let's make a site logo section like this, and let's put text align center, and that'll make the logo centered. And then we just want to replicate this section again down here. In fact, let's just repeat this here because this is the exact same rule. So we're just going to type site logo here like that. And now when it shrinks down, it'll go centered, and when it gets bigger, it goes to the left, just like that. That's looking pretty good. I think we need just a little bit more space there though, actually. So let's put margin bottom of 40 pixels. Yep, that's looking maybe a little bit smaller actually. Let's try 30 pixels. Yep. And then site logo down here, we're just going to remove that because we don't want it when the design gets bigger. So when the design goes to 720 pixels and above, at the minute, we don't want a margin bottom on it. That might change as we get further through the design, but we're just going to leave that for now. So that's the header, pretty much done. For now, we're going to leave this fancy stuff here, and we're going to leave the lines and everything else until the last minute. We're not going to do that just yet. So the next bit is this bit, this whole header area. So what we're going to do first is make this bit, because this bit here actually looks a lot like the design lower down. So this bit's the same, and I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the other bits. This bit's the same. This bit's the same. The title's kind of the same as well. So what we're going to do first of all, before we do anything else, is we're going to make an info block. I'm going to call this info block. It's a div name that I use for a lot of things, and it's so generic that when I'm building a website with a BEM methodology, remember block element modifier, when I'm building a website with a BEM methodology, the name is generic enough that it can work for all kinds of stuff, and I'd call this an info block typically when I'm building websites. And actually this bit here, aside from the text overlapping, pretty much looks exactly the same. So we're going to build this. We're going to build the info block first, and we're going to build this in the top area, and we're going to come back to the bottom later on, because obviously we're not going to build the bottom yet because we're working from top to bottom. So I'm going to start by building this bit, and it's going to pretty much look exactly the same as the top bit. And then also that title, little titles reused there as well. So we're going to call that info block subtitle. I think I'm going to call that for this site. So let's go back to the top and have a look at this. What font is this first of all? So this is, it's not Poppins, it is Playfair Display. So we're going to start by just building it out in our HTML so we can see what it looks like in the page. So let's make a new section, and I'm going to call this hero. Again, I tend to call the slides and things like that on websites hero units. And because you can see the 1 to 5 here, this is clearly meant to be a slider of some sort. So when you come to this website, it's meant to use some kind of JavaScript or something, and it's meant to slide through different slides. So we're going to think about that from the very beginning while we're building this website. And I'm going to make these into slides. So I'm going to do hero, and then I'm going to do hero __ slide. Because remember, we're using a BEM methodology, and because slide is an element of hero, we use __. So this is going to be the slide. And then inside that, we're going to use the info block, because we're making the info block. Again, we can use whatever we want inside other stuff. Everything underneath the hero unit doesn't have to be called hero. I think that's one of the biggest things people get wrong when they start using a BEM methodology and an object-oriented way of looking at CSS. Many people can get that wrong. So we're just going to stick to using info block. And then we have got an info block title. So I'm going to make that first, like so. And I'm just going to copy and paste this title out of here. That'll probably be the page H1, just like that. And then we have an info block body, which is just going to be where the text is going to sit. And that is this text here. I'm going to copy and paste that in as well and just put it in a P tag, like so. And then we're going to put the info block subtitle above it. Let's call that a proper name, info block subtitle. And then that just says your. We're probably going to come back to this in a little while, and we're probably going to change the way this looks, because the problem we've got with this here at the minute is that it's not very semantic. I'm going to save it and we're going to look at it in the browser. So it's looking like this at the minute, and that's not very semantic, and that doesn't look good. What this should be doing really, we want to make a subtitle. So I'm going to make a subtitle like this, but we're actually going to apply it in a different place in a minute, and it'll all make sense when I've styled it up shortly. So we're just going to start by styling this up first. So I've got the 3 elements in there, and we can already see that this needs to be slightly bigger. Actually, the rest of the design, so if we scroll down and look at the info block header, it is using a kind of a grey colour. And I think, let me just double check this in DevTools. Yeah, we're already using that right color. So that's okay, the color is correct. The point size is not correct. That needs to be a bit bigger. So I'm just going to start by making an info block in here, because that's a new thing that we're making in here. Info block, and we're going to use this throughout the website. Another mistake I often see people making when they first start using BEM naming methodologies is that they nest everything. So they often do that, for example. That's pointless, because the whole reason of using a BEM methodology is that you can reuse the styles in different places, which is what we're going to be doing shortly. So make sure you don't nest stuff inside things unless you absolutely need to. In this case, we don't need to do that, so we're not going to. So I'm going to do the same thing I do with most sites. I'm going to style up every heading to look exactly the same, because in the future people might want the headings to be different sizes, or they might want to use a different heading style when we reuse the info block title in other places in the website. But we always want it to look the same. At the minute, looking at the PSD, it looks like they all want to be the same size most of the time. So we're going to make sure we do that from the very beginning here. And I'm just going to try 2EM. In fact, let's use a rem instead. That doesn't appear to be changing size. There we go. That's a bit too big, so let's try 2rem again. That's about the same size. That looks about right. Is that about right? Yeah, that's about right. And then the text underneath inside the info block is a colour that I wouldn't normally pick, I'll be honest, because it's quite difficult to read. But to be faithful to the design that we're building, we're going to use this too. So we're going to put the P and we're going to change the colour to the colour that is in the PSD that is very difficult to see. But luckily it's easier to see when it's in a website, which is a good thing. And then finally we're just going to style up this. So we're going to style up the info block subtitle 2. And again, we're going to use H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, P as well, because we might also want to use a P for a subtitle like we have done here. And that just wants to be a brand color, and it wants to be capitalized like we've done in other parts of the design, like this, include uppercase. So I'm going to include my mix in here to achieve the uppercase. Let's have a look. That's good. And then we're going to change the color to brand color. And then just change the font size to 0.9 rem or something like that. Needs to be a bit smaller. It's a bit too small. 5, 6, 7. 7's about right. I've actually made it a bit bigger there than the actual design, because I think the design it looks too small. Then we just need to make this line here. So this line is, let's just have a look at the size of this line. So it is 2 pixels high and 23 pixels tall. So we're just going to add this line to this as well. Let's just have a look. See if it is used throughout the entire design. No, it's not. It's only used in certain instances, this. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to make a modifier of info block title. So we're going to do title, and because we want to make a modifier of it, we're going to do dash dash, and then we're going to call it fancy, and then we're going to add an after to it. So for that, we're going to use a SAS thing. We're going to use an ampersand, which signifies the thing that we're currently in. Then we're going to put an after like that. We're going to set the content to just be nothing, like so. We're going to display block it so it actually shows up. Then we're going to set the width to 23 pixels, like that. We're going to set the height to 2 pixels, and then we're going to set the background color to finally get it to show up to be brand color. That doesn't seem to have shown up. Oh, yeah, of course, because I've written the class and I haven't applied it to anything. So let's go back to the index file and apply it to the title, like so. There we go, that's exactly what we wanted to see. And it just needs moving down a little bit, so let's put some margin on the title first of all. So it needs some margin bottom of about 20 pixels, I'd say. And then this probably needs a padding bottom of about 20 pixels. Not a padding bottom, sorry, a margin bottom. No, that's not really going to work there. Let's try a padding bottom here. Let's try a margin top instead. That's better, although it's too far away. So I think it's about, maybe is it 5 pixels? Let's have a look. Yeah, so it's about 5 pixels. Okay, so that's looking pretty much exactly how we want it to look. I think we need to just make this font here just a little bit smaller. So let's just make the info block body font just a bit smaller. So font size, maybe 0.9 rem. Yeah, okay, so we're there. That's pretty much it. So the only thing that's left for us to do is just change how this is. How this is marked up at the minute. I don't like how this is marked up. This should be marked up with a span. There should be a span in here like this. So it still reads normally when you are using it without the CSS. That's what it should look like for me. So we're going to remove this from here. And we're going to put the class, and this is where BEM naming methodologies and object-oriented stuff really starts to come into its own, because it's flexible enough to be added to other stuff. So we're going to add the class info block subtitle to this element here. It's not going to do anything right now, but we're going to just tweak the CSS so it does. So we're going to change the CSS here, and we're going to try, first of all, just moving all the CSS. And that's almost there. We just need to change the font. So let's go back to the fonts and just make sure we've got the font in here. So it's the body font we want to change it to. In fact, I'm just going to copy this for now. Come back down to here and just set font family, because we want to be doubly sure that the font family has been set to the body font, which sets it to Poppins. And then display block. And we get exactly the same layout. But I just want to test this. I just want to test that this still works in the same way if we move it back to where it was a minute ago. So I'm just going to undo this. Yeah, it looks exactly the same. So the flexibility of BEM and the flexibility of object-oriented CSS and naming patterns like this is what you want to get to. I should be able to move an element around like I have done. I should be able to apply it to a span, or I should be able to apply it to other things, and it should work in exactly the same way as it did when it was applied to something else. So that's what I've gone for here. We've basically applied the info block subtitle like this. I copy and pasted it from here, and I put it as a span in here like this. And then I applied your, and I moved it, and it still worked in exactly the same way. It looked exactly the same, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So this element here, the info block, this is going to be used throughout the rest of the design all the way down here. We've kind of already built it. We've actually built most of the design. The only thing left to do is just this. So we're just going to make the CTA as well, the call to action, and I'm going to make another one. So let's just look at the header, just see if this has got a CTA on it. It hasn't, so we're just going to copy one of these here. So it's going to say something like read more. I'm going to go back to here, make a new one underneath, just bring my design back up, my code, sorry, and we're going to write info block CTA, call to action. Inside here we'll put a P tag and an A link inside that. It's not going to link to anywhere for now, and we're just going to put read more. So this naming methodology that I've gone for here, info block, info block title, info block body, info block CTA. You can use this naming methodology for pretty much anything. And I mean that, pretty much anything. The info block could be replaced for hero, hero title, hero body, hero CTA. It could be replaced for footer, footer title, footer body, footer CTA. I use these naming conventions all over my design. It just makes things a ton easier because I know and I expect things to be named certain things. I don't have to sit there and think for 3 hours what I'm going to name the one thing I'm doing. I just get on with it and do it straight away. So title, body, CTA pretty much covers most of the design that you're going to build on most sites. So let's make another section here, info block CTA, and this is the A link that's inside it, and we're going to do exactly the same we've got here. Copy that, put it above. We don't need the color to be changed though. Yep, let's look at the color. The color is that. Okay, that looks good. And then we just need to put a border bottom of 2 pixels solid brand. Oops, it's brand color, not brand. There we go. And that's pretty much it. And then I'm just going to put a border bottom, a margin bottom on the body of 20 pixels. There we go. That's nicely spread out, and that's pretty much there. That's looking how we'd expect. So let's now we've done this, and we've got this bit that we're going to be able to reuse over and over in our design. We're going to make the header area. So the first thing I've got to do is output this image. So I'm going to use Photoshop Generate to do this. I'm going to come to File, Generate, Image Assets, and then I'm going to rename this image that's in here, making sure I remove the text shadow, the box shadow that's already on it. I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to rename the image to be hero image.jpg, and then I'm going to put a number 8 on the end so it makes it 80% quality. Now if I go to the folder where I've got that saved, which is here, the assets folder, I've got a new hero image in there. You can see it's huge and it's 538 kilobytes. I'm going to come back in here and just make another image that's 50% the size of this, because remember my PSD is twice as big to accommodate for double density screens. So I need to make another image too, and I'm going to call this original image at 2 times because it's 2 times the size. I'm going to make another image and call it just hero image and put 50% in front of the generate thing to make it 50%. So I've got 2 files in here now, the hero image and the hero image. I'm going to copy these out of here and put them into my sites folder, my modern escape sites folder, my images folder. There we go, they're in there. And then we're just going to copy this into our hero unit area. So let's have a look in the images. This is our hero slide. So we're going to put this inside a hero text, all this stuff that we've written here. And I'm just going to copy and paste the hero image JPEG there for now. And I've just realized I've missed off my comment. So I'm just going to put info block in there like that. I'm going to put info block inside the hero here, like so. Just save it just to make sure it's not made any changes. Nope. And then I'm going to put the image above. So I'm going to just type hero __ image because this is a block element of hero. And then I'm going to put my image inside here. So image, assets, image, hero-image.jpg. And my alt text, I'm just going to call it beautiful escape. Your beautiful escape. There we go. And the image is pulled in. So as the minute you can see when I resize this, it doesn't resize the image. So the first thing we're going to do is go over to our CSS, go into the universal section, and we're going to add something on our images, which I usually add this on most websites. Max width 100%. Height auto. That basically makes the images fix to the width of the page that we're on, like you can see there. So it goes up and down and it fixes to the width of the page instead, rather than expanding way too outside of it. So that's good. That's what we'd expect to see. That looks nice. And then I'm going to include the 2x image as well. So we're just going to copy this line, paste it here and put source set. And then I'm going to put 2x on the end, which indicates that it's the 2x size image, like that. There we go. It's pulled the 2x size image in, but that looks too small. So I think something's gone wrong there. So let me just double check the sizes of these images. That's 2,300 odd pixels. No, that's worked right. So let me just add some sizes to this image as well. So that image is this size. I'm going to copy and paste it into Atom so it's easier for me to write into here. Cut that. So the width is 1016. The height is 572. There we go. Save it. That's better. That's what I expected to see there. So now we've got the image in there. It is resizing to a certain point. So it's somewhat, at the minute, somewhat responsive. It's kind of working responsively a little bit. But we need to finish building it first. It doesn't look anything like the design at the minute. So let's look back at the design, and I'm going to turn the grid back on. So we can see that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grid elements across. So the first thing we're going to do is put these into grid items like we did with our header earlier. And we're going to use the row centered again, because if you see the design, the thing is in the middle. So we are going to start by coming down to our design here and putting a row in like this, making a col 5, did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep, col 5. And then we're going to make a col, this is where I am rubbish with maths, they have to add up to 12. So 5 take away from 12 is 7. So we're going to make a col 7, which is going to be for the image. And we're going to put the hero image into the col 7 like so. And then we're going to put the hero text inside the col 5. And this will make the things go next to each other like so, like that. But this is a bit too small at the minute, because if we look at the design, we can see that this is actually col 10. It's 10 columns across. So this here, let's just add row centered to this as well, like I said. So that I'll make that go into the center. Here on col 7, this actually wants to be a col 10. So that's a col 10 now, and the other thing is col 5, and because we're using Flexbox, it's kind of worked it out just a little bit, which is kind of what we wanted. But at the minute, all we're using this for is just lay out the basic layout. If we shrink this down, we can see it kind of does a little bit of a responsive stuff there as well, which looks okay, but it doesn't look brilliant. And also, the hero thing isn't overlapping the image as we'd expect. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the hero text positioned absolute. So this area here, if I inspect it in the Chrome DevTools, hero text, if I make this position absolute, you can see that it goes over the top of the image, and that there is what we wanted to achieve. We can't achieve that by using just the grid. So the grid isn't showing the elements in the way that we'd expect at the minute. And in fact, I don't think we're actually going to need the grid for this. I'm going to actually dump the grid. So we're going to back up a second and we're going to dump the grid for this section because I don't think we need it. We're going to have the section in here like this. And I'm going to make this go over the top of the image. So we're going to use position absolute. So the first thing we're going to write is, and now as I always do, I'm going to do the desktop first, and then we're going to move the stuff around in the media queries to find out where it breaks and other things afterwards. So let's do that first. I'm going to delete the read more because we don't need that for this section. And then I am going to come to the hero unit, which we haven't created yet. So let's start by creating a hero unit element, a new section called hero text. This is, I could have used hero body, but I've used hero text instead. Position absolute, and it goes over the top of the image, which is what we'd expect to see. Now if we just look at the image, so the image is there, and we can see that actually the image is probably a bit too big at the minute, so we're going to make the hero image area smaller as well. We're going to set it to be about 80% wide, like that. And that's looking kind of okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the text just be probably, we're just going to guess at this one. I'm going to make this width 20%. That's probably not wide enough. Width 30% is about right. Now the next thing we're going to do, because we're going to move this image around, we're going to just put position relative on the hero unit, and we're going to move the hero image over to the right hand side. The way that I've done this is probably not the best way to do it, because I'm going to do text align right instead, and I'm going to change the width of the image. So I'm going to actually come to the image and put width 80% on the image. That way I'm not having to do fancy things with this to make the width smaller, and it still kind of works okay there. It looks okay. But now we need to get this text in the center here. I've got a little trick for this, and I use something called Quiver on my computer to do this. It's got a whole bunch of all kinds of little tips and tricks and little bits of code that I use for all kinds of projects. And I've got a bit of CSS in here that I use called vertical align. I'm going to use these two lines, top 50%, and then I'm going to use a transform to get this to work. Now this is using compass at the minute, so we're going to change the code in a second to achieve this. We've already got position absolute on it, so I'm going to put top 50%, and then I'm going to change this code so it's not using compass anymore to be transform, translate Y like that. And that's it. That's gone in the center. Let's have a look at the design. That's pretty much looking the same, I'd say. I think the image wants to be a touch bigger. So we're going to make the image 85% instead. That's looking a bit better. And we need to make the title bigger, but just for the hero unit. So inside here, because we want to make this flexible, I'm going to do another thing on here, another modifier. I'm going to do info block title dash dash bigger, because I want to make a bigger title. And then I'm going to come back to my CSS and do info block title bigger, and just do this again, and I'm going to make this 3 rem instead. It's looking about right. And also I want to change the color to black, because that's the color that's in the design. Is it black? Let me have a look. No, it's not quite black, so I'm just going to copy that color into here, in like so. That's closer. And then I'm going to make the width of the hero unit a little bit wider, because now that's not looking okay. So let's try 40%. There we go, that's about right. So that actually works. I think we need to just reduce the line height of the info block title. So I'm going to reduce this site-wide, because this is going to be a problem with this font everywhere. So I'm going to change the line height to about 120%. That's okay. Maybe just a touch smaller. In fact, we're going to leave that for now, because the design doesn't actually have any things that are on 2 lines. So that's a bit difficult for us to work with in this design. So now we just need to work out where this is going to break. And I think it looks okay until probably about there, about 800 pixels. So when this gets to 800 pixels, we're going to remove all the CSS we've written, and we're going to make the image 100% width, and we're going to put this stuff above it. So what we're going to do is come back to our index.html. Just check the HTML's right. Yep, that's all looking okay. And now we're going to move this stuff around. We're going to make another media query. This time it's going to be for 800 pixels. So the stuff that we're going to put in here is going to apply from 800 pixels and upwards rather than 720. And I'm going to move a lot of the hero stuff, the hero unit stuff, into here. In fact, I'm going to move it all. I'm going to move all this hero unit stuff into here and take these styles out of here. Like so. And then resize this, and it should, yep, there we go. And then I think when we get smaller, I think what we're going to do with this info title is we're going to make a lot of it centered. So let's look at the info block again, and we want to make our default info block text align center, like that. And also the line that we've made, we're going to make this inline block instead, so that goes center too. There we go. That's pretty much it. That's looking good. And then we're just going to change the info block title to be text align left when it gets to 800 pixels. Remove all the other stuff, text align left. There we go. So let's test that. And that's looking good. We've made the hero unit there. And that's looking how we'd expect. I'm just going to double check the design. I think the title, yeah, the title's still a bit too small. So let's just tweak the title to be for rem. Oh dear, what have I done with this color here? Let me just copy this color again. I've messed up that color well and truly. There we go, that's looking like a color now. And because the title is bigger, we're actually going to make the width of this element wider as well. So it still works, maybe 45%. There we go. Okay, that's pretty much looking like the design. That's looking as we'd expect. Okay, so that's the hero unit done. It's all working pretty much responsively. It took us about probably 30 minutes or so. And I'm going to leave this video here and we're going to move on to the next bit in the next video, which is these bits that are crossing over each other, which is a little bit more challenging than the other bits we've done so far. And then we're going to move on to the most challenging part, the surfboards.